Quentin Grimes has been struggling in the starting lineup, and Tom Thibodeau defended and really made a case for Grimes to remain in the starting lineup. We're going to break that down. Also, Scott Perry, the former general manager for the New York Knicks, hopped on a podcast and talked about the idea of the Knicks trading for the veteran scorer. We'll break that down, but first, I got to make sure everybody watching is subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for free Knicks content every day, subscribe and turn notifications on, and join us Tuesday night as we will be live for the Knicks vs. Bucks NBA in-season tournament game. I want to see you there. Subscribe and turn your notifications on. Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. Quentin Grimes has not been playing well over the last 6 games, and obviously Tom Thibodeau is being asked on if Grimes will remain in the starting lineup, and I love what Thibs said when he defended Quentin Grimes. Let's start with this, though. Quentin Grimes is having the worst year of his young NBA career. This is just the 3rd year in the association for the former Kansas Jayhawk and Houston Cougar, but he's putting up the worst stats that he has in his NBA career. You look at what he did his rookie year. Averaging 6.1 points per game, shooting 40% from the field and 38% from 3. What we all loved about Grimes was the leap that he took from his rookie year to his sophomore campaign, going from 6.1 points per game to 11.3. With more volume and more usage, he had better efficiency, going from 40% from the deck to 47, from 38.1 to 38.6 from downtown. But everything has reverted. He is once again looking like an unconfident, uninspired rookie out there. 6 points per game, less than 37% from the field, and a career worst 34.9% from downtown. He just hasn't found his groove. He's lost his confidence, and people are wondering, should the young player stay in the starting lineup? Thibs was asked about it, and he pretty much said this: if one guy doesn't make shots, that's part of the game. What are the other things you're doing? Is the unit performing well? He can help a lot, and he does. He's guarding a lot of different players for us. That's a very important role for our team. And I honestly love that Tom Thibodeau is coming to somewhat of the defense of Quentin Grimes. It's obvious when you watch this guy. He doesn't look confident out there. And it's always good, and it's nice as a player that's struggling to hear your head coach go to bat for you. I love Thibs trying to instill confidence in Quentin Grimes. And Thibs is always going to be loyal to his guys. And Grimes is a Tom Thibodeau guy. The New York Knicks are 49-29 since Quentin Grimes became a full part of the starting lineup and Evan Fournier and Cam Reddish were benched. That is the 5th best record in the last calendar year in the NBA with Grimes in the starting lineup. Tom Thibodeau a year ago said he thought that the Knicks were going to fire him after that loss to the Dallas Mavericks at Madison Square Garden. Since then, he's shortened the rotation, he's relied on Grimes more, and the team has played great. Even this year, the New York Knicks starting 5, their net rating is plus 7.3, which means when Brunson, when Barrett, when Grimes, Randall, and Robinson are all on the court, they are outscoring teams 7.3 points per 100 possessions. So he said, why would I change it if the lineup is performing well? Well, this is why I think that there should at least be some consideration when it comes to Grimes out and DiVincenzo in. Yes, the net rating for the starting lineup is good, but overall, all lineups that feature Quentin Grimes have a net rating of minus 2.2, which means you're being outscored by 2.2 points per 100 possessions. Also, there has been 6 straight games for Quentin Grimes where he has less than 10 points, and also shooting a career low 34.9% from 3. As a guy who was once the president of the Quentin Grimes fan club, and I still want to hold that position, I am not ready to give up on him. Why? Because I just think he plays the game the right way. I believe he's a high IQ player. I believe he makes winning plays. And at the end of the day, I always want a guy on my team that's 6'5", wants to guard the other best team's best player, does a good job on it, and has showed he can be a lethal scorer from downtown. I just want to go back to these stats from last year. In 2023, there was 25 games where Quentin Grimes shot the ball more than 10 times. 10-plus field goal attempts. In those games, he averaged 17.8 points per game, got up more than 8.5 threes per night, and shot nearly 41% from downtown. So what does that tell me? When he gets his looks, when he gets his minutes, when he's a part of the offensive game plan, and the confidence is where it needs to be, Grimes can be a winning basketball player. And I will never forget what he did in Game 5 of the second round of the playoffs last year versus the Miami Heat. The dude played all 48 minutes. He didn't take a break. He came and played the whole game. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals and blocks combined. What about the clutch steal he had on Jimmy Butler as there was less than a minute to go, where he essentially iced the game for the New York Knicks? I still believe in Grimes, but I can also admit this. He 100% needs to be better. He's on the team and on the floor and in the starting lineup for just a couple of different reasons. To defend, and to defend the best player on the other team. He's doing that. But he also needs to hit shots, and he is not doing that. And when your backup and your substitute, Donte DiVincenzo, is lighting it up like he has in the last 8 games, it really makes it hard to stand on a note that Grimes should continue to be in this starting lineup. In DiVincenzo's last 8 games, he's averaging 12 points per game and shooting 54% from downtown on 6.5 threes per night. That's elite efficiency. That's outstanding shot quality. And it's a guy that's getting a lot of usage. And he just seems to play a little bit better next to Jalen Brunson. He knows how to play off ball better. That's what happens when you go to the Golden State Warriors. You look and find your spots off ball a little better. I still love Grimes. But when DiVincenzo is knocking in 7 threes per night every time, it seems like Grimes has a bad game and at least has to bring up the question. So I'll do so right now. Who should be the starting shooting guard for the New York Knicks? I want you to decide. Type QG for Quentin Grimes. Type DD for Donte DiVincenzo. I'm still going to roll with Grimes. But man, it's getting harder and harder to ignore the fact that DiVincenzo may just be kind of a perfect fit at that 2 spot right now with what's on this lineup. Coming up next, former Knicks general manager Scott Perry hopped on a basketball podcast, and he was asked about the idea of the New York Knicks trading for DeRozan. We did a video last week where we told you guys, according to The Athletic, that DeMar DeRozan either wants to play for the Knicks or the Miami Heat. So we'll dive into that in a second, but first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. If you enjoy playing fantasy sports and you want to play daily fantasy sports, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the promo code CLNS. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you simply choose more or less on their projected stat lines. NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, college basketball, anything you want, Prize Picks has it. This is a lineup that I'm going to be rolling with for Monday Night Football. I'm going to go with less passing yards for the Bengals quarterback, Jake Browning. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a pretty solid game. I'll go with more on his rushing yards. You can roll with my picks. You can fade my picks. But if you're going to play daily fantasy, do it with Prize Picks. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. And if you put $100 in your account when you use the promo code CLNS, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. I'll put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Alrighty, let's get to what Scott Perry had to say about the Knicks and DeMar DeRozan. Look, it seems like a trade is inevitable at this point for DeRozan. It just seems like the Bulls and him are getting further and further apart in the plans of that organization. Last week, DeRozan, a report came out that he wanted to be a member of the Knicks. Scott Perry, he broke that down on a podcast. He was asked about it, and he said this. He could be that third option, if you will, on some of these teams that were mentioned, a New York, a Miami, Lakers. He's clutch. He's got a good 2 to 3 years left. He says, I don't have any info on who'd be the lead guy going after him, but he really likes this player. Scott Perry said, you'll have a number of players that operate in the same area when it comes to DeRozan and the Knicks, the mid-range. If the Knicks do decide to do that, and all 3 guys, Barrett, Randall, and Brunson, are there, then it's going to be incumbent upon Tom Thibodeau and the staff to figure that out. How you get your top 4 players on the court along with Mitchell Robinson, and you figure out the best offensive path. It's a high-level problem to have, and you may rather have that high-level problem than not. And I kind of want to just focus on that last point. DeRozan fits a need for the Knicks. You would be wrong and you would just be lying if you said he did not. What do the Knicks lack? In my opinion, another shot creator and a guy that can create for others with the ball in his hands, and somebody else you could just throw the ball to with 3 minutes left in a game and say, go get me a tough bucket. DeRozan checks all of those boxes. You look at what he's doing this year for Chicago, averaging 22 points per game, just under 5 assists, but it's the efficiency from 2 and from 3 that is somewhat intriguing if you're the Knicks. This is the second highest percentage DeMar DeRozan has shot from 3 in his NBA career, connecting on 37.5% of his attempts from beyond the arc, and he's getting up 2.5 shots from downtown a game. I like what he does as a player. I think he would help the Knicks, but I'll say this. 34 years old is concerning for me, because what are the New York Knicks going to give up? What do you give up for a 34-year-old player who's, I would say, on the downhill of his career, but still has a couple of years left, and that's going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer? You might say, well, Marshall, who are the Knicks going to give up? I'm not saying they are giving these guys up for DeRozan, but think about who they are giving up in trades. They've offered RJ Barrett, they've offered Immanuel Quickley, and they've offered Quentin Grimes. I'm not trading Immanuel Quickley for him. And I'm not ready to sell low on Quentin Grimes just yet, because if you trade Grimes for DeRozan, but you wouldn't include Grimes in a trade for Donovan Mitchell, that's a fireable offense. That is all-time selling low on an asset, and if you've learned anything under this regime for the Knicks, they do not sell low on their assets. RJ is really the only name that makes sense when trading for DeMar DeRozan. But I'm not doing that. I'm not trading a 23-year-old RJ Barrett for a 34-year-old DeMar DeRozan. Now, if you ask me if I just had to win one game, if there was just one game left or one season left in the NBA, this was the last season of the NBA, yes, I would trade RJ Barrett for DeMar DeRozan. I think DeRozan is better than Barrett right now. That's not the case. You still got a lot of years left. DeRozan's 34, RJ's 23. I'm just not doing that. I like the idea of the fit. Another bucket getter, another veteran, and another clutch shot taker and maker. But it's just the puzzle pieces don't really fit right now for the New York Knicks. What do you think? Should they pull the trigger on a trade? Should the Knicks make a trade for good old DeMar DeRozan? Type Y for yes, type N for no. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for making Knicks Now a part of your day today. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, and remember, Tuesday night, we're going to be live for Knicks Bucks NBA in-season tournament. It's going to be lit. I want to see you there. So subscribe and turn your notifications on.